Thank you for tuning in to the Dandemonium podcast. I guess it's going to be a late evening, getting this thing started a little bit late. Let me give you a little bit of context to this episode because you might be like, "Whoa, Dad, where you going? What the fuck is going on here?" Okay, for one, this podcast is just for comedic expression only. That's about it. Don't get your medical advice from me. Don't get any fucking your life lessons through me. Well, I hope you learned something. I hope it gives you something to reflect upon yourself. And that's the only what you would call impact. Okay, but this podcast, if you will, is not to be taken seriously. Okay, so a little bit of this context, and I was writing down some notes for the next podcast that I was going to drop because I feel like when I just do rants, I can go for like 5-7 minutes, and that's what she said. But then after that, I'm like, I run into a stopping point. It's like, oh shit, like where's the transition? Where do I go from here? If it's not pre-planned and there is no game plan, then you can only expect so much, right? So my thought was to create an outline and just do a little preparation, come up with things that's a little bit more specific on topic, focused, and interesting. So occasionally, right, I'm writing these notes, and occasionally I like to look up this day in history. For example, real quick preface, once again, tangent, but on July 22nd, 2023, I searched this day in history. And there was one interesting fact that stuck out to me because it was related to the Twilight Zone, the old school Twilight Zone, right? And I am a fan of the Twilight Zone. So one of the things it said in that day, July 22nd, 1983, there were 3 people that died on the set of the filming of Twilight Zone. I was like, holy shit. And then as research goes, as inquiring minds like to know, I then do a search about the Twilight Zone deaths on, 1983, July 22nd. What happened? And then I got into this old rabbit hole article, and that's a whole funny thing about research, right? Because you have to do the work, it takes time. You might fall into rabbit holes and or dead ends, and then you're like, fuck. Or your search words might be off, and then you got to like restart. Like, what is the best language you can use for, I consider the internet in itself to be somewhat of an AI technology, so you got to be specific with the AI. It's very delicate, and it's continuing to grow and be more and more delicate. So that means you have to be more and more specific. You could be dropped you could be dropped 5 social credit scores for the fact you didn't ask the question the right way. It'd be like, no, I meant this. It'd be like, I don't care. Your credit score is dropped. Anyways, I'm getting off into a tangent. So that was a very interesting fact. And then today I'm writing these notes on the podcast and I veer off into a tangent on what happened on this day. This is August 2nd, and I plan to release it this evening, hopefully before midnight. And it's just audio, but I'll get into video more and more. And one of the things, so in 1934, it was Hitler was declared the dictator of Germany. Okay, what a negative. So August 2nd, 1934. And so that was like a horrible thing. That was the start of a very, very horrible thing, right? So it was only 5 years later, in 1939, that World War II was kicked off, and that was September 1st. The official start, I guess, documented history as history goes, and then it was September 2nd of what was it? 1945. Say, so that was 6 years. You say. So 1934 is the start of a very bad thing, very bad man in office. And how do we, we have these holidays like one per month. I think every day should be a holiday. Like, what the fuck? Like, let's celebrate something every fucking day. Why the fuck not? Huh? Huh? Let's just make it more anxiety prone for the civilization. Let's just make every day. But let's turn this negativity, and I don't bring this up, and to celebrate this day of August 2nd, 1934, where Hitler was declared dictator of Germany. I bring this up because how can we turn this around? Okay, everybody wants to turn shit around. We want to tear down statues. I got a better plan for everybody. Okay? I got a better plan that I think fits society. Okay? There are some that may say, who are they? I have no fucking idea. But there are some that say that drastic results require drastic measures. Okay? I think we need some drastic results in this motherfucker. The way that things are operating, the way that things are going, I don't think is too good, So how can we take this drastic negative from the past on this day of August 2nd? How can we turn this around into a positive? What do you think we could do? I have an idea. Yes, I have an idea. And I say all that to say I was writing these notes and I was coming up with these ideas and I'm like, holy shit, this is something monumental. I may forget this tomorrow, but by golly, I am going to record this tonight so I don't forget it. This is a segment that was to be in the next episode. But I say we turn this negativity around to a 1,000% positive, and we make it a National Shrooming Day. Everybody is not only required to, but participate in the National Shrooming Day. It's a day to reset your brain. Think of it like the Purge, only 10 times better. Okay? People are blasting music. We got people banging in the streets, perhaps. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I don't think people should be banging on the streets. But it's like peace or war, man. We bring it to the 60s, and then we got all these protesters. And I'm not saying that the 60s was all great, right? The point being is civilization is fucked up. So why not take this drastic measure, right? To try and create some drastic results. A change in humanity, a reset of your brain, perhaps. I don't condone any sort of intake of any not illicit, but illegal chemicals and or drugs or whatever. And I'm not even going to edit this episode. I might take out one pause that I had. That's about it. But I think we're going to have better results. It's that or the Purge. I think those are our two options. We create a National Shroom Day. It doesn't have to be August 2nd. I don't give a fuck what day it is, but I think it should happen. I think it would be a net positive for society, and I think people would benefit from this greatly. We take certain precautions. It's that or we get a purge. Which one do you choose? Which society, what year? And this could be next year. Next year is going to be fucking lit, everybody. If anybody's paying attention, we have so much bombarding the news cycle where it's not even a 24-hour news cycle. It's like a 10-minute news cycle. There's something new happening and to talk about every fucking 10 minutes if you're paying attention. All right? And some people don't have that time, but sometimes I do. So I try to pay attention, and anyways, getting too far into the tangent, but net positive for society. I don't know. I think National Shroom Day is a good concept. I think it would really do some good. Do some good to the human civilization as a net. Fuck that. You know what? Fuck that. I changed my mind. It's not National Shroom Day, okay? It's International Shroom Day. Everybody in the whole world vibing at the same time. All right? And then everybody gets a week off of work. Nobody does shit for a week. I think we could do that. We did that in the pandemic for about a year and a half. But this time, look, this is a new culture. Okay, let's make it not a day, let's make it a fucking week. The longer that I keep going on this podcast, the more it's going to be drawn out. People are going to be shrooming every goddamn day. Just kidding. I don't promote or condone any of this crazy behavior, but consider the concept and the state of where we're at right now. Okay, I think quick tangent, Joe Rogan at several points in his podcast said, I think that political candidates should be required to shroom like 10 times. Something like that. I'm not just feeding off that idea. I think it's kind of an inspiration to the idea, perhaps, but he hasn't talked about it in I don't know how long. And I read this Hitler thing, declared the dictator of Germany in 1934 on this day, and I'm like, how do we take this sort of stuff? Because that's interesting. Just like the Twilight Zone little tidbit that I fed you earlier in this podcast. All right, go back and listen to that again. Give me some listening hours of this podcast. But that's where it's at, man. I think we're in drastic times. It takes drastic measures, right, to create drastic results. It's also said, I don't know who, they say it sometimes. Who they are, I, again, have no idea. But in order to, or typically it's the greatest risks, the greatest rewards require the greatest risks. Holy shit. I just fucked that up. I'm not editing it. You know what? This is who I am. This is what you get, okay? But usually the greatest rewards are found within the greatest risks or something like that, okay? I think that's enough. I hope you enjoyed my rant, and I plan to keep this up. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to record is because I felt like it was getting stale. I could spend all the time writing, rewriting, reorganizing, but the whole thing ain't nothing to do it but to do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. You know what I mean? So I hope you all enjoyed this rant, and thank you for tuning in and listening to the Danamonia podcast. Peace!